This talk show is brought to you by...
Hey, want to feel young again? Are you tired, run down, have aches and pains, brain fog? This is science-based, not hype or fancy marketing. It really works. Carbon 60 helps detoxify your body on the cellular level. It stabilizes free radicals, just like the antioxidants found in red wine and berry stew, but on a far smaller, more bioavailable nanoscale. It's like a bottle of electrons, helping your body to function better. You can also apply it on your skin topically, over muscles, joints, or organs. Most people feel results within minutes. This is not a drug. It's organic carbon. Feel better today. About 95% of our users report more energy and clarity of mind within 10 days. Give us a call at Greska's Carbon 60 at 720-600-6040 or visit our site at c-60.com. Call 720-600-6040 and feel young again.
Folks, welcome back to the iHealth channel, iHealth Radio, the NBC network, with your host, Hurricane H. New day, new show. I would say today's topic is going to be a very interesting topic, and my guess is a super interesting guy. You have no idea what's in it for us today. It's going to be a long, hour ride. It's going to be a tsunami. I mean, I don't know what it is. It's going to be a great show today. Could be controversial. That maybe.
No.
I have no idea, but you know what? It's going to be good because we're going to tackle some topics that are sometimes touchy or taboo, whatever you want to call it. But really, today we're going to talk about man and manhood and what it takes to be a man in the light of a world that is kind of like, a little different, where maybe there's a question about that. So we want to address some of those things and, just talk about basic stuff, right? Regardless of the feelings and what's out there, we want to just talk about this topic. And my guest today, he's actually out there. He's been featured in Times Square. I mean, he's a men's coach. I mean, he is the host of the controversial podcast, so the Nico Lagan Show. So I can tell you, just the name of the podcast will tell you, right? So let's be clear, folks, that we're gonna have a nice ride today. So that said, Nico, welcome to the show, man.
What's going on, man?
How you
What's
doing?
going on, bro? I'm living the life.
Always, man. Always. So Nico, let's talk about you first. I mean, you have been around with a message. There's a story behind you. You have a lot of things. You've achieved quite a bit. You're from Canada, but you also travel the world. You have a whole different perspective on how things should be. Well, we're not gonna potentially. Maybe we can. I don't know. I'll leave that to you, man. You lead it the way you want. It is actually your show today. But the idea is that, Nico, you have your podcast. You have a good following. You've been actually published in publications. You've been, in quite a bit of podcasts out there and some big ones as well. So let's talk about Nico. Nico, I would say the legend.
Oh boy, yeah. As we say in
French,
as we say in French, aïe aïe.
Aïe, oui, oui.
Aïe aïe. Man, at the end of the day, I'm just one of those guys that grew up without a father. If you take it all the way back, this is where everything. There's no way 20 years ago I could have ever imagined that I would be doing what I'm doing right now full time. It makes no sense to me. Like, it makes zero sense, but at the end of the day, this is where it all started. It started when my dad left, and I was left at 14 years old on my own trying to figure out what it is to be a man. We all have it in us. Every single man out there wants to belong. Every single man out there wants to know what they're supposed to be doing, what their purpose is. And without purpose, a man's life is meaningless. This is why we are in the state of affair that we see right now, with guys trying to be women, with guys being depressed, with guys not knowing what to do, with guys that are 30 years old and they're still teenagers because they've never taken a step to better themselves because there's nobody there to teach them. And I'm not blaming, you know what, at the end of the day, it is part of our fault. It's the fault of guys like you and I. We took it for granted for too long. We need to do better. We need to be there to help those younger men, even those older men, to reclaim or to embrace their masculinity, because there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. The lack of masculinity is toxic, and that's what you see today. Men, they're not ready to do what men do, because being a man is not easy. It's easy to be a woman in today's world because we protect them, we take care of them. They're always being cared for. But men, nobody cares about men anymore. We are so taken for granted. Like, look at the society that we live in North America now. We live in one of the best societies that's ever lived, supposedly one of the most free one. But how did that happen? This only was possible because there were men that did jobs that they didn't like to support families. That's it. At the end of the day, that is all it is. A man is supposed to serve. We take care of others because that's what we do. We want we always want better for our family. That's what we do. You know, I was watching a video the other day, and it was this woman explaining how a family is supposed to have two parents. It's supposed to have a father and a mother. The mother will never be able to take care of the children if the husband doesn't take care of her first. And this is so true. You know, I've made up this saying that a man is a woman's rock, while a woman is a man's weakness. Because see the way it works. I am meant to be stoic. I am meant to be tempered. I am meant to take on the world in order to protect the people that I care for. Men are always the first and the last line of defense when it comes to family, loved one, communities, countries. We're disposable. At the end of the day, men are disposable. It's always women and children first, because without them, our society without women and children, humankind could not continue. This is a fact. So it is our job to protect them. And this is, you know, this all evolved from the fact, and it's interesting because they all came from me not having a father and having to discover that for myself over the past 25 years. So yes, it sucks that my father left, but it is 40%, give or take, depending on the study that you look, 33% to 40% of young boys right now, which is more than 12 million boys, grow up without a biological father present in the household. There's nobody there to teach them. So what you see in society today is easily explained by the lack of masculinity in the life of our young guys, of our boys, of our young men. Women cannot teach a boy how to become a man in the same way that a father cannot teach his daughter how to become a woman. But they can get people around them in order to teach that boy. If you're a single mother and you don't have a strong masculine man available, and it doesn't need to be a husband or a boyfriend, it could be an uncle, it could be a cousin, it could be a friend, it could be your father, it could be a grandfather. If you don't have that, it is your job to find it. And this is why, like, we were talking about martial art prior to starting to record, and this is something that I talk about all the time. Martial art, to me, changed my life completely. When I found martial art, when I discovered the gym, and when I started doing martial art, it has put me in the same spaces as great men, as great coaches, as people that used a common passion like martial art to teach me about life. I became, I was forged by martial art. Martial art forged me as a man. It made me realize the type of person that I am and the type of person that I could be, the type of person that I wanted to be, because I was surrounded by men. Men need to be surrounded by other men, more mature men with more experience, to teach them what it is to be a man. And this is my goal. This is what I want to do. I'm writing my second book right now that is based on the 5 virtues of a good man. And it is going to be, I had an idea where it would be a 300-page book where I would go into detail through history and talk about everything that's going wrong right now. I probably have about 30 to 40,000 words already written. And then last week I sat down, I'm like, nope, I'm going to cut all that fat. I'm going to simply build a guideline. I will build easy step based on my life. I will speak about my life, what happened at specific times in my life, and what I did to overcome it. And this, because this is how my 5 virtues were built, is throughout my life, through analyzing what I've done, I can take that as a blueprint and give it to a man that doesn't have a father. Give it to a father that his father was not present and doesn't know what it takes to be a man, but he still wants to teach it to his son. And I want to give it to especially single mothers. I come from a single mother. I was raised by one. She could have done better. She could have done more, but I don't think she knew how. So if I can put that book in the hands of single mothers and they can use it, I can make it so simple and reach them through emotions of my story to know what you're doing right now with your son is wrong, because I am your son. I am that guy. Do you want your son to go through my story? You don't. I know you don't. So here's how you prevent it. So I decided it'll be 100-page, 120-page, super small book. I will just put a very simple guideline out there in order to be able to help people. This is all I want. At this point, this is all I'm concentrating on. Yes, I create a lot of content. Yes, I do. I talk about stuff that's controversial, supposedly, because traditional masculinity is vilified today. Like being a man is not a good thing anymore. But you know, it always makes me laugh, because all the people out there that are talking, oh, let's defund the police. As soon as the crime becomes rampant, what do? Oh, we need more police officers. Yeah, because you need somebody to protect you, because you did not learn for yourself how to protect yourself. This is why martial art is so important. Learning, going from being a victim to be bullied to be, you know what? I was a coward. Let's call a spade a spade. I was a coward. I did not know what to do. Nobody has ever taught me how to defend myself. So for years, I was a coward. I knew it. I wasn't getting bullied anymore. We moved. I got away from my bully. But in the back of my head, I always knew. I always knew that if somebody would mess with me, there's nothing I could do about it, and I wouldn't do anything about it because I was a coward. But the day you grow a pair of balls to sit and to just go into a gym surrounded by other killers, you're like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go. This is going to be, you can feel it. If you pay attention, as a man, stepping into a place where it's filled with super nice guys, but they're all killers. They're like, oh, here we go. I found my tribe. I found the people that will help me become something, show me that I'm not made out of glass. You know, when you eat the first real punch and you're just like, that's it. That's what it was. That's what I've been worried about, is this. It's a life-changing experience, realizing that you're not made out of glass. Not only that, but that you're so much tougher than you ever imagined. Did you fight? Did you step in the ring?
Well, yeah. I mean, not the ring the traditional, like what we see today, but I mean, yeah,
Okay.
sparring, full
but
contact.
fighting.
Oh yeah,
Fighting.
full contact. Yeah, full contact. I mean, trust me, we don't hold back. In our art, we don't hold back. It's really, I remember a professor who, may he rest in peace, at a test, we had to actually do like some real sparring, like some full contact with weapons. And literally when we finished, it's like, yo, I mean, I didn't ask you guys to kill each other, but really, we were like really interested. We were going. I mean, I remember it like yesterday. I mean, like some moments of life, and especially with someone of his magnitude in terms of the arts. I'm referring to Roland Duncan, who's a legend and Hall of Fame. I mean, he passed a few years back, but his style is just unique. And I remember with my immediate sensei, and we were in the test, and at the end, like, he was, really talking to everyone in that test and giving them pointers. And he was like, you guys really, when you spar, you just go. And really that's what it is. If you're going to spar, you're going to have to go. I mean, it's you cannot fear this. Now, anyways, we'll talk more about that, because there's a lot of stuff in your discussion that I want to address. So I don't want to cut, until you're done, then I want to, dissect a lot of stuff that
It's
you
a
mentioned.
conversation, man.
Okay,
I'm always interested to hear. You know, the type of conversation we're having right now will inspire me in content that I will be creating. It's through conversation. I tend to take a lot of things for granted. Right now, to me, martial art is something it's granted. There's no way I live without it. Do I go to the gym as much as I should? No, but there's a punching bag the gym we just found in Alabama has a punching bag. So
you love it, don't you?
I don't need to be in class to keep my tools sharpened. I've been doing it for more than 20 years. I know what getting hit in the face, getting my face bashed in when I'm always in front of a camera is not what I should be doing. I don't need to spar anymore. I will spar with people that are respectful where we can have a lot of fun, but do I need something? I don't have anything to prove anymore. As long as my weapons are sharp, I'm happy.
I love it. I mean, again, this topic about martial arts is just, first of all, I it's not a secret. All my audiences, they know I started when I was a kid, 9-year-old, and I can tell you, I was bullied, and so that actually started giving me that discipline and self-confidence and all the stuff. But I really love the arts, and again, talking about Professor Duncan himself, I remember another camp training. Because he goes around and he observes everybody, and then he comes to everyone and tells them something about their person. I remember him saying this to me, like, "You're gonna be in martial arts all your life, period and out." And it's true. It's in me. It's my DNA. I talk about it. I'm proud of it. I am just a promoter of martial arts, and I would never stop. It's never gonna stop. It's gonna die with me. I mean, I lost 2 of my professors right now. The highest ranking, and I still have my direct sensei, and I love him too. And they're legends. And you're right, they teach different things that will go with you in business, in life, in personal manhood. Talking about manhood, they really teach you how to be that warrior spirit. And that's not gonna that is not. And by the way, this is a show about men, but even on the women's side, I mean, they train. We train with women, and they're tough and stuff, and all the good stuff, and they're great too. And so there's nothing about that. But here we're talking about just the level of how you see that father figure, as you said, as you're referring to. They're really true. They're your mentors, they're your coach, they're just someone you look up to. Role models, right? And you take whatever message they give you, and it's amazing how when you're in a school of arts or martial arts specifically, you have mentors. I mean, all your hierarchies, they become, and by the way, same thing with me. I have students that train with me that actually they look at, to you, you're someone that they really respect, and you want to give that back to them. It's like they become your kids as well. And by the way, it's not about age here, because I've trained older people than me, but it doesn't matter. It's that kind of concept that you deliver. But I want to go back to the start, the beginnings with you. And by the way, you're right. Unfortunately, we live in a society today that there's more of children without fathers, or mothers sometimes. I mean, both sides. I mean, of the coin. But in this discussion today specifically, we're going to focus about when you don't have the father figure, the role model that is supposed to be. Now, some people can argue, and I'm sure you've heard this argument, like, "Oh, we can raise kids without." You're right, they can.
Oh, you can. Oh, you're absolutely right. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. Are you going to do a good job at it? No.
Well, that's the thing. In somebody's perception, yes, they think they can do it, and they did it. But here's the thing: they would never know what's missing, because, to your point,
they're not men.
Exactly. That's the thing. You see, throughout history, it's whether you believe in religion or not, whatever you believe in. I mean, history is history, right? We made it to the 21st century somehow, and it's been about. I mean, we're here, right?
Somehow
we're here, and it always took the two. Father, mother, father 100%. Figure, and mother, and both have different separate functions. And without them, it's like being, the perfect complement, the yin and yang.
That's why they call it the family nucleus.
That's right. And so when you divide that, then you do have to compensate one way or the other. And you're 100%. Right. The man cannot be a woman. We might have some femininity into us because that's genetics, and we may have some. But there's some of that. But for example, I can tell you this: I am very nice. I am very sentimental. But I'm not as sensitive as my mom and my wife. I mean, even with my kids, if they need something soft, they go to my wife, and their mom, because she's the one who's going to be more protective, right? I'm more like, the bully, I'm more the tough dude, And by the way, what happens, and I've seen it, when you try to compensate as by the way, I was raised with my father and my mom, but
Good
my
for
father
you.
was traveling. No, my father was traveling a lot.
Mm.
So when I was a kid, there were periods of time that I didn't see him. I
Yep.
mean, literally, sometimes months, sometimes weeks. So he wasn't always there, present. It was my mom that did the job. So I can relate to you as, and she was trying to compensate for him not being there. So I can tell you. And by the way, my dad passed. My mom still is living with me, literally. And until today, I will still, thank her for every single thing. A lot of stuff that I owe is to her, And by the way, but then also with my dad's presence, it was something different. You look up to him differently. The messages, the learning that you have from him is different. Even just simple dress code. I mean, we could just talk about it as basic as that, right? You get something from like his posture, all the stuff.
100%.
It's different. And by the way, again, this is to your point, that nucleus is supposed to be balanced, right? Both together, given each one has its own strength, and then it compensates. Now, can it work today? Has it worked today? It's working, but is it really working? And that's a question that a lot of people can't ask the question themselves. And you don't have to agree with this discussion, folks, if you're watching or listening. But understand that if you ask the question, is it taking you more to compensate, to do the work that is supposed to be like almost natural, right? That's exactly whether you're a single father or single mother, you're going to have the same, problem or difficulty because how do I do this? And you got to figure out, and you're right, sometimes you have more of an entourage, and that entourage may not have the masculinity, as you said, or femininity, and the other side, if the opposite. And you're right. In today's society, we had that almost, it's been destroying slowly.
It has. 100%.
And by the way, guys, you might, some people may disagree with this discussion, but I can tell you this, whatever you beliefs are, that's your belief, right? That's great. I mean, I was raised in a culture where that's how it is. There's a father, there's a mother. Both have functions, and that's how you are. And I grew up in that system, even though, like I said, my dad was not always there, so my mom had to compensate. My mom was actually a fierce one. I feared my mom more than my dad, believe it or not.
But she had to take that role because your father wasn't there.
And it's fact. This is not, by the way, it's not bullshit stuff. It's true story.
But that's energy. It's not. Women are capable of having masculine energy, like men are capable of having feminine energy.
They used to call her Iron Lady.
But you're absolutely right. Your mother compensated, but the thing is, it is very normal for a guy to not always be there, because if your father's primary job was to provide for your family, he has to do what needs to get done. Women care. Why do you think it's women that carry children? Why do you think that right now, you look at the statistics in Canada, in university, when it comes to health, you're looking at more than 70%. It's 75 to 80% of students in medicine, no matter, not just nurses, medicine, are women. Why? Women are more empathic. Women care. They're more kind.
That's right.
They will often put others' need before their own. Why do you think they're the perfect mother? Those are all attributes that God gave them to take care of children. They have to carry the baby for 9 months, rip their whole inside out, and still love them when they come out. They need to be empathic. And you think about it, what type of doctor do you want? Do you want somebody that cares, or somebody that's like me, that's extremely logical, that's going to look at you, hey, suck it up, buttercup, let's go. Oh, your arm's broken.
You got this. Yeah.
Here's
well,
some
exactly what happened.
Here's some duct tape. Go. Leave. Stop, and go. I don't care.
True story, dude. My son, a couple of years back during COVID, he took a skateboard. He was still learning, and he just decided to take it and go on the ramp.
Broke his arm.
5 minutes later, he broke his arm. He's coming. And so here's the reaction of my wife and I. My wife is like, nothing's happening. It's like, what the hell is that? so I'm like, there's nothing. It's like, what? You can't tell me your freaking arm is hanging. You can't tell me you didn't do shit. I was like so furious. And my wife was the opposite. And that just shows you like the difference of it is how it is. We're designed that way. And whether we like it or not, yeah, I mean, we can talk about, what's going on today in terms of, the selection of gender and all the stuff. But before we go into even that topic, because that's a whole different discussion. And frankly, I know because I had a show about it with a psychiatrist, and one world-renowned psychiatrist. And it is that's more of an identity issue, right? But we're talking about the root, the natural process right now, and frankly, it has been that way. And it's funny. You talked about empathic and passionate and loving, right? I mean, whether you're Christian, Jewish, or Muslim or faith, we share very similar stories or history. And one thing for a fact is that if you believe in Adam and Eve, you would know that Eve kind of was created of Adam, and we, at least in our teachings, it's from his ribs, right? Or whatever you want to,
But it is as per
we can talk science, and we can even define that through science, but that's another topic again, another show. But really, just to talk about it from the belief, pure faith. We weren't there, we didn't see it, but we believe in it. But to your point, Christian, Jewish, or Islam it has the same story when it comes to Adam and Eve. Very few variations of it. But the fact is, the concept actually from the scholars of Islam, the concept of her being from an actual rib, which is closer to the heart, which is more feeling. So there is a whole narration about that. I mean, we don't have to go into the jurisprudence of this stuff, but the fact of the matter is, it's always been there. The mom, will always care more, will fear more and stuff. And by the way, I love what you said about men are needed for protection stuff. And some people may disagree. We don't need a man. Well, technically we can. The word would have ended a long time if we didn't need a man. All right. Because I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, it's a fact whether we don't have to disagree about that, because sperm farms are not going to be existing if man didn't exist in the first place. So that's another story. So if we talk about, progeny and, having kids, I mean, we can debate that all we want. There are certain things we can't change. Right. But here's the thing. The fact is, men died more. Because to your point, they worked outdoors. They were fighting animals in the earliest days. They were fighting the wars all the time, defending. And so there's a good chance there's always going to be, and we joke about it even today's days. We say men, live, shorter than women. It's true.
Yep.
Statistically, women live longer. Women take longer, better health. They take care of themselves better than men. Men are always like, I got this. They don't even see the doctor. I mean, again, talking about my own story, my dad, I don't remember my dad going to doctors in his life. And for the times that I lived with him, I don't remember him going to a doctor until he got very old. Well, not very old. He died at 73. And then at the time, he got diagnosed at, with stage 4 cancer, and it was basically too late. He never went to the doctor. He never believed in that. I'm going to go do preventative stuff. And most
but our
of
mentality is different, though. Like
that's right.
A few years back, I'm doing jiu-jitsu with one of my fighters. He's preparing for a fight. I spin wrong. I snap my arm right at the gym. I finished the round. Like I heard it. I've broken so many bones. I heard the click. I'm like, oh, tabarnak. Oh yeah, tabarnak. Broke my arm, but I'm like, I'll finish the round. After the round, I'm like, yep, okay, got to go to the hospital. So I go to the hospital, have a broken arm, and I end up going to work the day after. I was in the office, and an older woman, like probably in her 50s then, broke her arm. She ended up taking a month off in order to care for her arm. You know what I was doing that night? I was teaching martial art and punching the bag. I was wrapping my arm on my chest so that I don't use it, but I practice my jab, I practice my kick, I practice my elbows. I broke my elbow.
We're dumb.
6 years ago. You know what I did? I wrapped it off. I was dating a doctor back then, so I'm like, I was at the gym doing dumbbell press, and I heard it click in my elbow, and then I was like, damn, what's wrong with my elbow? I go back home, and I'm like, is it possible that I broke my elbow at the gym? She's like, chances are no. So I'm like, cool, thank you. I got the tape, wrapped up my arm for 6 months. One day I woke up, I was swollen from my elbow all the way to my shoulder. And when you can feel that it's not an infection, but your body's fighting something, it's all water. It's like my arm got water retention. I go to the doctor, we do an x-ray. The guy's like, yep, you have what we call a bone spur. So I destroyed all the cartilage. I broke the bone. The calcium deposit tried to fix it. It created a spur, so it created a spike, which was irritating all my ligaments around it. And because I never stopped, I destroyed all the cartilage. Like to this day, like, see, that's as straight as my arm goes. Like I always have an angle. I have to have metal put in, but this is men. This is what, but at the same time, we are bigger, we're faster, we're stronger, we take more risk, we're more violent by nature. So it makes sense that we're protectors because, you know, I get hurt all the time and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Oh, my girlfriend's like, hey, you're bleeding. Hey, what did you do there? I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't know. It
Nico,
doesn't matter.
Nico,
It doesn't matter. It
Nico,
doesn't matter.
I fell out the skateboard the other day.
Yep.
It still hurts. Didn't go to the doctor. I banged myself. You don't go to the doctor. I'm telling you, like, you get sick. I mean, we only go to the doctor. I mean, and by the way, I'm a health guy, so I do believe in preventative stuff, and I try to do my yearly stuff.
100,000,000%.
But
you have to.
We have a different threshold of pain, and we always say like nothing's nothing wrong until it becomes really painful and you can't help it. Then you're like, oh shit, something is off. But so that's the problem that and I'm talking in general. That's kind of like, I think that's how we are made in the concept, at least historically. We're kind of, that's what, tougher. And whatever it does mean, because I mean, you can have a tough woman, you can have even tougher women, but in average, the rule is that it's just like the lion and the lioness, right? I mean, the lion is the lion, the lioness is, they actually do the hunting. What is still the lion? It's just that those are the natural processes. You can't change
it's not a bad thing. This is what bothers me about the conversation that we're having today in society is there are natural skills that we both possess. Women are more loving, men are more protecting by nature. So it makes sense that our threshold for pain is higher when it comes to that. It makes sense that we're dumber, for lack of a better term, when it comes to that, so that we can continue doing. The fact that I continued with my broken arm is not an ego thing. It's just I'm rolling, we're having fun, it's a broken arm, I can deal with it, I've been there before. It is, I'd rather not not think about it right now. Let's finish that round and then I'll go to the hospital. But it brings such a tough mentality that I translate to everything. And this all stems back from martial art. But now, you know what happens when something shitty happens in my life? I treat the situation exactly as I did my arm that day. You know what? Does it suck right now? Yes. Can I change that? In this moment right now, can I change the fact that I'm hurting? Can I change the fact that something bad is going on? No. Is me feeling bad about it and going in a corner and crying, is it going to change anything? No. On the contrary, it's going to make it worse. So what can I do to continue moving forward? I cannot change the situation in which I am in right now, but I can change my actions. I can change the way I decide to move forward. I can take over my feelings and say, you know what? You're hurting. Okay. Granted, we take that. We will accept that. What next? And this is what men are supposed to do. We are supposed to look past that pain, because I always bring it back to right now. I don't fight anymore. I haven't fought in a ring in 9 years. So all my training that I do is always focused around real life situations. Everything that I do, I don't do the type of Muay Thai that I do before, because it's a sport. At the end of the day, Muay Thai is a sport. There's a lot of rules that cannot be applicable. But I've done a lot of Krav Maga. I do a lot of groundwork.
Man.
I've done a lot of Filipino knife. I've done a lot of gun training, because in my head it all connects. Right now it's a fight. So when am I going to fight? I will walk away out of every situation that is not a threat. I will tell you that you're right, even though that I could fold you in 4 if I wanted to. You're the man. You know what? You're right. I'm wrong. Have a good life, bro. I'll never see you again. My ego's not hurt. But if I am in a bad situation, I want to be able to continue with a broken arm. If my girlfriend, my family's life depend on me moving forward through pain, I know how, because I've been there before. I will not be surprised to break an arm. I'll smack you with the broken arm that's dangling if I have to. If that's the only weapon that I have. But this is what men are supposed to do. We are supposed to move. Pain is not supposed to shut us down. You look at a David Goggins, for example. Not the biggest fan of the guy, but I like his mentality. I like the way he thinks. And I've been in situations similar to him where my body gave out. Like, I'm a big fan of intermittent fasting. And your body will shut down when you're not capable of doing something anymore. But so often our mind is so weak that we quit because of pain. We quit. Imagine a David Goggins. If you read his books, he runs ultra marathons. It's insanity to me. Absolute insanity. You have to push through the pain throughout the whole exercise, the whole thing you're doing, the whole race. You have to push through it. That's your mind. Your mind is strong, but your body's still able to go. If your body can't go anymore, you know what happens? It shuts down. That's it. You want to know if you could push further? I have one question for you. Did you lose consciousness? No. Your mind is weak. You could have went further. It's that simple. It's that easy. And this is why I think that pain is it's a great friend. To understand pain and to say, you know what, I will always be able to move through that pain because my mind allows me to. It all comes down to your mindset. Your body, I was on my 4th day of intermittent fasting, like just on water. And I'm going to the bathroom. I only have about 15, 20 hours to finish my 5th day. I'm in the bathroom and I wake up. I'm sitting on the side of the bath. I lost consciousness. I sat down there. I'm like, you know what? My mind is very tough. I would continue, but my body shut down. This is an indication that I'm doing something wrong. I got out the kitchen. I went to the kitchen. I made food right away, even though I wanted to continue for another 15. Mind-wise, I could have continued, but now I'm being dangerous to my body because my body shut down. If your body shuts down, start paying attention to your body because it's trying to tell you something. But we lack the mental toughness to go to that point, to push that, push the limit further and further and further away. And once you start understanding how tough you actually are, how much pain you're capable of taking, everything, I love the movie Fight Club. And at one point, Tyler Durden explains that when they start fighting, they don't care anymore. The guy shows up to work, he's all battered, his shirt is covered in blood, he doesn't care anymore. And I love the way he explains it. He says that once you start to fight, everything else in your life gets muted. The volume gets turned down. Because what is the worst thing that can happen in your life? A fight's going to break out. You're going to have to defend yourself. This is about the worst case scenario any man can go through at any given time. You have to put your life on the line. If you do it all the time, if you do it and you enjoy doing it, what else is dangerous? You think that if it wasn't for the fact that I fought in front of people, that I got my ass kicked day in, day out in training, that my ego got so destroyed by guys that were better than me, do you think I would have been able to give presentations to multi-billion deals in front of customers? Do you think that I would have been able to be a keynote speaker in front of hundreds of people? Do you think that I'd be able to create content every day, that I reach millions and millions of people every month with my content? Do you honestly think that without knowing how much pain I'm capable of walking through, I'd be able to do any of those things? No, absolutely not. It all stems from the amount of pain that I'm capable of taking physically, and then it translates into your mindset. Your body is the pathway to your mind. Master your body, you will master your mind, and then through spirituality, you will master both. You will unify your body and your mind.
Nico, listen, bro. This is like preaching, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
but here's a real thing, right? I mean, you're talking hardcore stuff, and yes, someone can say, well,
but it's not hardcore. It was understood for
centuries,
like 60 years ago. It was understood.
Even 40 years ago, probably.
The conversation we're having now, we would have been treated like idiots. Like, well, duh. Why are we talking about this? It baffles me every day that I have to talk about this. This is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk how to expand your mind. I want to talk how to talk to God. This is what I want to talk about. But people don't understand how you need to master your body first. So this is the thing I talk about all the time.
Well, but you're touching on serious, stuff, and we're talking about pain thresholds and stuff, and we're referring to the martial arts, but it's true though. I mean, if and by the way, can someone challenge us right now and say, well, there are women that take, the threshold, as well. I mean, they do deliver babies and that's painful. And we will never know what kind of pain is that.
No.
I give them, but they're designed that way. The body is designed to take that. And by the way, we're not judging because actually we came from there. And I can tell you, my mom still tells me you did a lot of pain to me when you were a kid. So I can remember that. And I've seen my kids being delivered. It's painful. By the way, the only other pain I can relate to, and I make jokes about it, is a kidney stone, which I had a couple of them. And trust me, they're not fun. It is painful. But we're talking about the pain that you can face in the real world. Like, it's different. We're not talking about natural process. We're talking about this, to your point, fighting and getting, hit and stuff. It's just your design. Your body is the physiognomy.
One doesn't take away from the other.
Exactly.
A woman is
That's
designed
right.
to take the pain of childbearing and delivering children in the same way as men are meant to take the pain of physical harm. If your wife is pregnant, she is vulnerable. Your job is to protect her. If you have young children, they are vulnerable. You have to protect them. If you want your family to grow, if you want your family to become better people, you need to provide them with a space where they can be free. I don't like safe spaces. I don't like the word safe space because everybody thinks that the world is a safe space. It's not. The day you step out that front door, there's no such thing as a safe space. But
Even
at
at
home,
home.
at home, the man should do everything that he can to defend that home and to provide as much as he can in order to establish a place where people can grow. When you are in survival mode, you cannot grow. If all you think about is your next meal, how am I going to pay the rent? How am I going to pay this? You'll never be able to grow because all you're going to concentrate on is surviving. So if you want your kids to be smart, you want your kids to become better than you have to provide them an environment that they're capable of prosperity. That's on you as a man. That's part of protecting. That's part of providing. It's not just monetarily as much as it is, but you need to create a place where your kids feel safe because there's no such thing in the world. So that's your job, to create just one place. It could be a 20 meter by 20 meter area in the world, but that is where your kids can go in order to be themselves, to just grow. You need to provide them that space. But they also need to understand that once you get out of there, there's no such thing as a safe space. And even that space at home is not safe. It's not a safe space because you have to protect it. It's your job as a man to die protecting that space.
Well, that's like territorial stuff, right?
100%.
And it is a natural process. We protect our territories. True story. This happened this week. Not even back. A couple of days back, we're sleeping and my car alarm goes off. 3:00 in the morning. Now, about a year ago, we had carjacking happening in the neighborhood, and they hit all kind of driveways, including mine, and they went to the vehicle. So this time, 3:00 in the morning, I'm looking. I thought it was my neighbor's car. It was not. It was ours. So now we're looking. We don't see anybody. But the car keeps going, and we don't see anybody. I'm like, there's something off. So I'm not gonna give you the picture of what happened. I mean, I literally came out there with my gear and ready for
my gear,
whatever that may be. If my camera is right now, I could share that. But I can tell you, it was like a movie scene, and my kids, my daughter was having a blast with it. My wife was like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, if this guy is hiding, because it could be anything. Some idiots can actually be using that as a trick. They hit the alarm, you open the door, and now they're in your face.
100%.
It's as simple as that. So I'm not taking a chance. So I'm ready at this time. It's war on. And you talked about Krav Maga, gun training and stuff. I do ninjutsu. So we all the above goes. I mean, we do exactly that. And, I have a warrior spirit and I believe in it, and I'm not going to change that. And I don't apologize for it. I train for it. I am the softest person, as you said. And that's the other thing. In martial arts, you're going to find all these top guys. They're really lethal, but they will be the best people you can hang out with. They're not going to start a fight. They were never going to initiate a fight. But if you start them,
They'll finish
Too
it
bad.
for you. They'll
Too
make
bad.
sure to finish it for
You're
you.
done.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, our
Yep.
professor used to say, finish the technique, finish him. Literally. So
100%.
when you end, they gotta be off their game. And so same concept. And I always say this: if someone has the ability to take your life and they're willing to do that, and your family, well, I have the right and the ability to defend myself to the fullest at that point. And even the law says that if you can present self-defense and it's equitable force, whatever that you can use, then what you have to. And I'm not saying we're not encouraging, by the way, harm and or violence here. What we're saying is that we are by default, like mama bear is mama bear, but grizzly bear is grizzly bear. You know what I mean? It's all that. It's defensive mechanisms, out there. It's different. We all have that. My wife can defend herself. She's a kickboxer too. But, if we go in the ring, I mean, there's a good chance. I'm not saying that she's weaker than me, but it's just different things.
But it's not fair. There's a good reason why men don't fight women, and they shouldn't.
I mean, in karate though, in martial arts, we do. It's different because we do train with women and stuff. So it's a whole different story. And they train. I mean, dude, Okinawa karate. I mean, those guys, they're like, they just clash, and so there's different styles where there's everything goes. And that shows that, women are up there in terms of a lot of things. And by the way, this
100%.
debate of men or women is so old, it's archaic. Because here's the thing. I mean, we're probably from two different faiths here. And we hear this all the time, bashing Muslims in general, Islam, and they say, oh, man is chauvinism in Islam is high. The man is always better than women. No, actually, it's the opposite. Women in Islam are higher than the men in every single thing of their life.
We're disposable. We are disposable.
We're basically the warriors and the defenders and stuff. And the
look
worker
at Egypt. Look at where Islam comes from. You look at the Middle East, especially Egypt. Women were the queens. The kings were their subordinates.
That's right. And it is the truth.
The only two things on this planet that can create life is God and women. There's no men out there that can create life. Only women and God can. So that's why we need to protect them. That's our fucking role. It bothers me how we're always trying to go at each other instead of understanding that we complement each other. And me saying that I am the protector takes nothing away from a woman. On the contrary, I will put my life on the line to make sure my girlfriend is protected. My girlfriend's 110 pounds soaking wet. I'm 210 pounds. Who do you think wins that fight? I'm literally twice her size. Who wins that fight? No, but seriously, when you think about it, who wins it?
I'm not going there, but you're right.
Technique
doesn't need size, right, as we know in martial arts. But the way
unless it's equal technique. If you have equal technique, 100 pounds matters.
The way it's gonna win. The way it's gonna win. But you're right.
This is what hurts me is really the fact that for some reason women of today believe that me saying that a man needs to be a protector, needs to be a provider, needs to be courageous, needs to be tempered, needs to have faith, takes anything away from the woman. But there's nothing being taken. On the contrary, it should be a compliment to women that men are ready to put their life on the line. How many guys out there do a job they don't like just so that that their family never needs for anything? You don't think that 99% of men out there wish they could do something else? But we're providers. We're supposed to take care of our family. We don't do it because we like it. We do it because we're supposed. That is our purpose. We are supposed to be doing this. And somehow this is insulting to women.
Not all women, Nico.
No. But the vast majority in North America are like that. I'm lucky. I have a traditional woman, but she comes from an Italian family, and her parents are still together after 45 years of marriage, and they live what we talk about. So this is the thing. We're supposed to be polar opposite, like the yin and the yang. Look at any coin. We are both sides of a coin, but that coin is melded together. Those two sides go with each other, and some have natural skills that the other doesn't, and vice versa. It is supposed to go that way. We are supposed to protect women. Women are supposed to be the emotional support of the children. You know, it's always been like that.
That's true,
But
Nico. So sorry to cut you off, but there's
no,
one thing that is important to just pose on is that religiously, and this is not a religious show, by the way, but religiously,
Yep.
anybody today that goes to a church, synagogue, or mosque, or other temples, you know, some other religions have similar concepts, right? I keep just referring to the
they all
three,
do.
you know, yeah,
They all do. They all do.
yeah, but I keep just referring to the three, you know,
Yeah, no,
majority
but that's
ones,
fine.
if you want to call it.
Yep.
But just looking at that, right? Anyone that is actually of faith or believes, you know, in the system, and they actually people of the books, they will probably agree that there is an
Yep.
actual balance. There is a man and there's a function for both, and they won't even debate the stuff. And you're right,
Yeah.
there is a higher incidence of debate, like, well, they're equal. Well, of course they're equal. They actually, that's always been the case. As a matter of fact, to your point, the men are or have been the servants of women all along. You know, you know, again, when you think the example of a queen, everybody is catering to the queen, right? Same thing. The man goes now. I get it. Like, you know, so we get to the point where the society is modern. And listen, I'm a contemporary guy, you know, and my wife works, and I am all the good stuff, right? But we still have our own balances, right? We understand our roles in the family and who does what, and that's not the. And by the way, she's my queen. She's, you know, she's like happy wife, happy life. I use that concept, and I believe it's okay. I have no problem with that. But here's the thing: the concept is not even that. When when we started trying to almost compete with each other, the men
Yep.
versus the women, that's really what's
100%.
happening. We became
100%.
a competition, like who's better, who can do better things. And you know what? Everybody, and by the way, I've had more bosses women, and I admire them. They're great leaders, they're great bosses, and I have no problem with that. And I enjoyed actually working with them for them. And I have plenty of women surrounding my life, you know, and I love all of them, right? And there's nothing. I appreciate their level of, you know, knowledge, skills, abilities, all the stuff. And it doesn't undermine. I don't feel like, oh, like that's some people like, I'm a macho man, I can't work for a woman. No, it never bothered me. But here's the thing: what I have noticed talking to my good friends, you know, sometimes they say like, I wish I didn't have to work. You know, you men have it easy and stuff. You hear those expressions all the time. That's because yes, they do, and they're trying to fit in that role that is not designed technically, historically for them naturally, and they do the best that they can in it, and they do terrific in it. Not even the best, but is it really what they want? That's the question. Now, you talked about ego and pride and stuff, and sometimes this, because of the way the society has designed it, the way it's become taboo to talk about it, the way it become. I mean, this show is probably gonna get, you know, crazy, you know, reviews. But hey, listen, the idea, we're not talking about anything strange here, folks. We're talking about the natural process. There's a man, there's a woman, and we're not even talking about the gender right now and all that stuff. That's a whole different, you know, topic. But the fact is, historically, that's how it's been, and everybody's got a role, and when that role is applied correctly, we get a good society. And we don't have, here's the thing, we have divorce. Why? Because everybody's got cojones. I'm sorry, you know, that's the thing. Like, you know, I got bigger balls than you. I'm sorry, you know, I'm going on a tangent here, but that's really what it is, right? You know, we measure sizes here. And what's happening is that we have these divisions, you know, because of arguments, because of ego, because you can do this, why you not do this, who's going to do this, who's going to do the other. And we have problems. And you know what? It's funny because it shouldn't. I love what you said. Like, you know, your girlfriend's parents are, you know, from Italy, and they're old school. And you know, I go to, you know, cruises all the time, and I love the Love and Marriage show. And it shows when we start, you know, there's three couples, and the oldest couple is usually the most impressive, and typically 90% of the time they win the game. Why? They just coherent. They actually live for 60 years together, 50 years together. How? They knew their roles. They kind of work their roles accordingly. There's a lot of bumps in the way, but they make it. And it's not like, you know, oh, I pay the bills. You do this, you do that. And then we fight for what? So what's the point of being together in the first place? And here's the thing. If we divide and there is no more marriage, which is also encouraged, you know, more than ever now. I mean, it's just a practice that is natural now. But when you look at it, like, you know, I was listening to something earlier, and it's very simple. Like, boyfriend, girlfriend, my boyfriend, I took her boyfriend, her girl, you know, her boyfriend. Nobody is nobody's. I mean, technically, you're not taking anybody's, right? Because nobody belongs to anybody. You're you, your girlfriend is your girlfriend. While she's your girlfriend, when she decides to be your girlfriend, well, he decides to be your girlfriend. If you choose not to, whatever it is, you're going to move on. People marry and divorce, right? So the thing is, it's just about where, you know, being in that balance. and working together. And by the way, it doesn't take away the role, it doesn't take away, who's better than the other. This is not a competition of like who's the highest being here. There's no such thing. And when we start focusing on that, then we know that we all respect each other. And that's it. Like, again, when I say we here, I can talk about me as a Muslim. We get this shit all the time. We're like the worst, people, man on the planet. We treat women like they don't belong. They have stuff. We took more inheritance. There's so many rules that people don't understand. We can do a whole show about that. But the fact of the matter is that's not how it is. There's more to this, the story, right? And it's not, it's always been that way. I mean, we give an example that, we have women that are in history. I mean, the first university in the world, technically, that is recorded is in Fez in Morocco, and it's called Qarawiyyin, and it was by a woman. Nobody denied her ability and expertise. This is 1,000 years ago. So where is that coming? I'm just giving an example of what one of the nations, one of the groups that everybody looks down to, thinking that we're like the worst, people on this planet treating women. Now, are there elements that are like so archaic, or they don't understand the rules and they apply the man chauvinism? Of course they are. In every culture, I see them in the States. I see them in the multiple cultures, not in a particular religion or the other. There are men that still beat women today, which is taboo. You can't do that. I don't care what religion, what belief, what culture, that's not applicable. But we see it now in modern society. So is that the reason sometimes where we have these debates? Potentially, and you said it 60 years ago, this discussion would be like, what are you guys talking about? I mean,
why
you guys from the
why are we talking about this?
Hold on, Nico, we'll be like, are you guys from the future or something? Because this hasn't happened.
Yeah, no, you're definitely from the past. Definitely
Oh,
from
shit.
the past. But it's, it's just, instead of focusing on all those little things that are related to our ego, break it down to the most common denominator and just look at women nature and masculine nature. What are we good at? What are we physically gifted, mentally gifted, emotionally gifted more than another? When it comes to intelligence, men and women are the same. We learn very differently, but we are the same. When it comes to our brain capacity, one is not more intelligent than the other. Emotionally, yes, women are more intelligent emotionally. Women should always be very highly connected to their feelings, compared to a man that should let his woman be emotional and be stoic, be her rock, let her be feeling. But at the same time, the man is physicality is so much better than a woman when it comes to when it comes to physical work, when it comes to protecting. But again, a woman's body is meant to carry children, so it is built a completely different way. A man's body is built to protect, built a completely different way. And that's a beautiful thing. When it comes down to it, it is beautiful to see two beings that are meant to complement each other. They are meant to be together. And this is what society today has forgotten and will not admit, because they believe that me being a masculine man takes away from a feminine woman, and vice versa, when it does not. In no way, shape, or form is me being masculine take anything away from my girlfriend. On the contrary, we're watching a movie yesterday, a new movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, and he goes to war. There, when they were in Afghanistan, they had translator. They had like 50,000.
Kandahar, is that Kandahar? The name of the movie?
No, it's The Covenant. And
The Covenant, yeah, it just came on Netflix. Yeah.
So there's a Muslim translator that basically saves his life, carries him into impossible feat. He wakes up in the hospital 4 weeks later, basically, and he's like, what the hell happened? That Muslim guy with his new family is left in a very bad spot, because now he's become #1 most researched guy of the Taliban because he helped an American escape the country. And their relationship is so beautiful. Jake Gyllenhaal and his wife is so beautiful because he can't sleep at night. He can't sleep at night because he knows, he's like, I owe that guy my life. And now he's paying the price of saving me while being chased everywhere in his own country. People don't like him anymore because he helped me. So I have to go back and help him. I have to. He tried everything from the US, it didn't work. But then at one point he's drinking a lot and he's losing his mind. His wife goes to him and she's like, we've been married for 12 years. You've been going to war for 12 years. Every time you leave, I don't know if you're going to come back. This is my life and I accept that. And right now, we will refinance the house if we have to, but you are going back to save that guy. It's like she understands that his need to help, to protect, to put his life on the line, to save somebody that saved him is more important, that he can't do anything about it. He was going to go crazy if he doesn't do it. It's eating at his soul. And his wife is like, you know what? I'm not going to argue with you. I don't like this. I don't want you to die, obviously. But I will take care of the fort. I will take care of the kids. Don't worry about it. Do what you got to do. Don't worry about us. Do what you got to do. And this is beautiful to me. Having a wife that says, you know what, brother? I love you to death. But I know what you are. I know who you are. I know what you are. I know your heart. Go. I'm not going to make this a fight. And this is what has become so toxic today. We make fights between the two of us, between men and women, on stuff that is natural. You cannot help the fact that Jake Gyllenhaal had to help that guy because the guy helped him. He owes himself his life. He owes that guy his life. He doesn't have a choice to go back. He doesn't have to. Or else you'll never see your husband again. That guy that is left is only a shadow of himself. As a woman, you need to understand that because that's how he is. And this is what we need to go back to. This relationship, it was beautiful to me. And, I've had conversations like this with my girlfriend, and just yesterday, and she looked at me and she's like, I would expect you to do the same thing. It's like, if that was you there, you have to go too. You don't think my girlfriend chose me because she knows I can protect her? Of course she did. You don't think that if something happens, I'm expected to get up, to go see what the problem is and to take care of it? Of course I am. That's my job. There's no discussion about this. It's not a conversation. And that does not come from me. She tells me this. That movie yesterday, she looked at me and she's like, you know what? You would have to go back too. You owe that man your life. Go. And she would think less of me as a man if I did not. But at the same time, does my girlfriend cook for me all the time? Does she take care of me? Absolutely. Absolutely, she cares for me. That's what she does. How is that me taken away from her? Nothing. She shows me her love by taking care of me. And I'm ready to die to protect her. That's the fucking deal we made, and that is the deal we live by.
Nico, I love, first of all, the example about the movie. It's a real. I mean, we have, army wives, and armed forces wives everywhere in the world that every day they support their husbands to go, and vice versa. There are men who support their wives that go to war now, and it's irrelevant. It's about that chemistry. It's about that agreement, as you said. You're right. She's cooking. That doesn't mean she has to. See, that's the other. Sometimes we lose that in translation. Like, oh, is women's job only the house, the clean, the children stuff? Trust me, women do that because they love that one too. I mean, I can tell you one thing. Between me and my wife does a better job, at taking care of the kids. I mean, I can tell you, that doesn't mean like I'll do whatever I can. If she wants me to cook, I'll cook. I cook too. But I'm lousy at it. She's not happy about my stuff and the way I do things, and she's gonna do it. And even if it was the best, there are certain things that she likes to do, and I support that. That doesn't mean that I'm incapable or she's incapable to do it. No, we can do similar stuff, but to your point, it still goes to the reality of things. We have different physiology, whatever you want to call it. We have the anatomy is different. We have the endurance that is different. Yes, can we run them out? Can she do better than me in a lot of stuff? My wife is much younger than me. She can have more stamina than me any given day today. But it doesn't mean anything. It's okay. that's her thing. I support it, and I have no problem with it. And I think that's we kind of lost our ways in again competing with each other, like the man
Instead
versus the
of
woman. We're
working
not.
together, we
Yeah,
fight each other.
we're one society. We're one unit, and it was meant to be that way for centuries, and it's been like that for centuries. And only to your point, in the recent years, we had these debates, and it's getting just worse now. And really, why? I have no idea. And frankly, um, it's easier that everybody does what they have to do. And yes, sometimes women do more than men. I can say today. I mean, they work, they come back, they still take care of the kids, they still do the cooking, they still do the stuff. Not because we're not capable, because that's a part of the choice and part of the deal that you have sometimes as a couple. You do whatever, but I gotta go do stuff. I gotta do the lawn. I gotta do the snow. I gotta do this and stuff. And sometimes they chip in too. So there's no such thing as like who's got the. It's agreeing that we can do certain things and you can do certain things, and that's all there is. We are supposed to have a balance together to succeed better. And then that relates back to our children, as you said, the story about you and your upbringing without the role model. If the two are together, the kids are going to have both models. They know what it is for a man to like. If I have like my son, he comes to me for man stuff. He goes to his mom for women's stuff. Like he's got things like he can confide in her things that he wouldn't tell me, and vice versa. He comes to me certain things that he's not going to go to his mom, and he has my view and her view. Now, if he only had one view, it will be lopsided, and it's nothing you can do about it. You can watch movies, you can get mentorship. It's not the same. It is just not the same. And you articulated well enough. It's just how it is.
One doesn't take away from the other. This is all I want to stress all the time. That does not mean a father is better than a mother and a mother is better than a father. Technically, if you really want to be at it, single fathers do a better job at raising children than single mothers. Look at every single statistic out there. Every single child, 90% of single parents are women. But the 10% of kids that are raised by men do better than the 90% of kids that are raised by women, just because of that discipline, because we're normally more logical. Now, am I saying that emotionally those children are doing as well as the children that are raised by women? I don't know. I've never seen a study that compares both. I can tell you, as a guy that was raised by a woman, that's where your emotional aspect comes from. If I'm a big fan of psychology, and one of the things that fascinates me are serial killers. I love how serial killers can be made, and they always come back. If you look at most serial killers, they come from a family with a woman that was extremely abusive. The mother, destroyed the emotional component in that son, and that's how they're capable of killing people, because they don't have that emotion attachment to people. They're psychopaths. They do not have any empathy for others. Who is supposed to teach empathy to a boy, to a daughter? His mother. Mother are more empathic. So if you take that away, you destroy that component and make it violent and make it resentful, make it bad. Your son will never be able, unless he does the work, to be emotionally intelligent. And that is something I struggle to this day. My mom was not somebody that was very touchy-feely. She never was. So not only did I not have a father, but I did not have a very feminine mother either. And is that because she was too much in her masculine energy, trying to compensate for both? Maybe. Maybe the only reason she was there is that there wasn't a man there that allowed her to become very feminine, while he took care, as you explained. One take care of the masculine stuff, the other takes care of the feminine stuff. One is capable of being masculine, and one masculine is capable of being feminine, but that is not what they're meant to do. So if they have to do both, they will do neither properly. And this is so my work to this day, the biggest work that I do is always trying to be better on the emotion portion, because I was never taught. I can teach myself how to become a real man, how to become what I consider to be a real man. But I have to do the work on the emotional part too, because I did not receive it from my mother when that's what it comes. And it is extremely important for men to know how to deal with that emotional aspect, because one of the things that eHarmony did a study, and they were showing that 64% of men admitted to choosing women based on the qualities or flaws of their mothers. And it totally, psychologically, it makes sense because the first woman a man has ever loved is his mother. That's the first woman representation that you have, is your mother. You know, one of the things I love the most about my girlfriend is that she cooks. She loves to cook. Why do you think that is? My mother cooked meals my whole childhood. I don't remember going to a restaurant. It was not something we did. Come from a military family. We were in shape. That's something that's been in my head my whole life. So that's one of the things I love the most. I always look for that in any women that I've dated in my life. If she wasn't a cook, I'm like, eh. But not just a cook, somebody that enjoys it. And it has nothing to do with saying a woman belongs in the kitchen. My grandmother always told me that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So my grandmother,
heard that all the time.
to this day, we're talking about food. Now I'm hungry. But the point is, this is how it is. Women, your role when it comes to raising children is so crucial, in a way that the role of a man is so crucial as well, just for different reasons. But if you do one, if you're capable of doing one while your partner does the other, it's how it was meant to be. If one of the two partners is stuck doing both, he will end up, or she will end up, somewhere in the middle, doing a poor job at both, struggling to juggle between the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And you know what? The only person that pays for this is your kid. So put your ego aside. I just finished writing a section of my book that is dedicated to single mothers. And it is exactly what I tell them. Stop, put your ego aside. It is not about you. It's about your son. And I can tell you what happens when you're raised by a single mother. I was raised by a single mother. Luckily, I made something out of myself. I did not just become a statistic that I use all the time in my content. But if you don't want your son to become a statistics, admit to yourself that you cannot raise him alone. That takes nothing away from you. Nothing. The fact that you cannot raise your son alone does not make you any less of a woman. You were never meant to raise him alone. Neither is a man supposed to raise kids by themselves. This is what we need to understand, because the only people paying for our mistakes and our ego and the way we feel about it is our children. And this is why we are in the situation that we are right now.
You're right, Nico. And children are the future. And if they're not getting the basics and the foundation, then they're not getting that same to the next, and so on and so forth.
And it's the parents' fault. Every time it's the parents' fault.
Yep.
It's not the school system to raise your kids. It's you. It is you as you know, to this day, I still don't have kids. You know why? Because I never felt I was ready for them. Now I'm in a situation where I understand what my role is, and I can't do it alone. I cannot be with a woman that 5 years from now, she won't be there. I need a woman that will stick with me through thick and thin. Now I know that I can live my masculine and she can live her feminine in order for us to raise those children together, because we are both. I want to have great kids because they're going to have the best of both worlds. I cannot do it alone. I don't want to do it alone. It's not fair for my future kids to do it alone. I owe them better than that.
Nico, I want to just to state one thing. You know, this conversation, folks, that you're watching right now, listening, let's understand something. They both have strengths. Men and women are equal when it comes. They just have different strengths. You know, we cannot, like, I cannot do everything in the house. I cannot do anything in the job. If you own a company, you cannot do everything by yourself. You're going to need people to do different things. If you work, you know, in a unit, you are part of the unit. There's a team. There's different functions. A doctor cannot be an engineer, a janitor, you know, everything else, you know, and the cook, the chef, this, that. You can't do it all. Same concept. Everyone has functions and strengths, and that's really what it is. The best thing about team is you use the best of both sides, or how many people on the team. In this case, in society, it starts with the unit of two, man and female, man and women, masculine, feminine, whatever you want to call it. And that's what it is. That's how it's been. And it's worked for centuries. It is still supposed to work. And you know what? we have things that are happening. We have suicide. We have, people that are, as you said earlier, not sure about their identity, and that leads to the gender, discussion. There's so many things that are going on, and we're, because of the way it's been, happening. I'll give a good example. Today my kids had prom, and so my wife was working. She couldn't do it. So I came from work. I got to do different things. I had the show. I was doing a lot of different things, and sometimes like, oh, I wish she was here. She could do it to help out. But, you work, you company, you help each other, but it's not the same. When she travels, for example, overseas, to visit whatever, and I stay behind, or vice versa. If I go away, then one gets all the lumps, all the work, all the load, and you got to get tired. It's just how it is. Doesn't matter if, anyone watching or listening, whatever your opinion about this, if you deep think it, it's going to make sense. It's going to add up.
Remove your ego from it.
Yeah, it's going to add up. This is
Remove
not
your
about
ego
he,
from
she.
it. No.
Exactly. So now let's talk about the virtues of a man. You're right. You're writing that book. Yeah, you have 5 almost. I guess the pillars.
5 virtues of a good man. Yeah, pillars, virtues. I like the word virtues, but yeah.
Sure. What are those 5 things that every man should have, and every woman should look into the man to have?
Courage is number 1. You need to be able to go after what you want. You need to be able to do things that scares you, because without it, there's no growth. Whatever other virtues that I'm going to put after, it needs to start with courage. You need to be capable of facing your fears. Because if you are to be a protector, you cannot be fearless. There's no such thing as being fearless. I hate when people say you should be fearless. If you're fearless, you have a psychological problem. It's not everybody out there scared of something. They might not tell you. Show me somebody that's fearless, I'll show you a liar. There's no such thing as being fearless. There is something out there that scares you. Yes, you get better. The more you face your fears, the less things scare you. But there's still stuff that scares you. So being able to, you have to be courageous, first and foremost. Then you need to be a protector. Not only to know how to defend yourself, to know how to defend your family. If you don't have a family today, that no problem. Learn to defend yourself and learn how to defend your future family. But it goes further than that. It's more than just knowing how to defend yourself. You gain access to your mind by gaining control over your body. Like we were talking about earlier, that's why martial art is so crucial. By learning martial art, you will learn skills that will translate in everything else in life, like toughness, coachability, knowing what it is to work as part of a unit, to work as part of a team. You'll soon realize by sticking to it that you have discipline. You'll work on your courage. All the skills that a man can have, you can develop through martial art. And as you grow into the gym, you go into martial art, you eat well, you treat your body with the respect that it deserves, you stop treating your body like a dumpster, you will discover that your mind will start operating at a level that it never operated before. Because at the end of the day, your body is a machine. If you give it the fuel that it requires, if you give it the exercise that it requires, you will start gaining access to parts of your mind that was not accessible to you prior to that, because you've never treated your body with the respect that a machine deserves. Then you need to become a provider. And a provider, as we said earlier, is not just on the monetarily side, but it is. Like, it is a big component of it, but you need to be able to provide a place for your family to feel safe, to be able to grow, to give them at least one place on this planet that they can be themselves. So you need to provide monetarily, you need to provide that space, you need to be there for your wife emotionally. And that to me is my biggest struggle. This is the one I work. I'm very lucky that my girlfriend knows me very well. She's very patient with that part of me. But this is my biggest struggle. And this, for the women out there, the emotional component comes from you. It is your job. I can teach my boy how to become a protector, how to make money. I can teach him that. But that emotional aspect, that will always come from my wife, my girlfriend, from the mother. So women are so crucial when it comes to the development of a man. Why do you think that you look at one of the strongest civilization, that was the Spartans, the agoge, that was the rite of passage that they had to go through? The first 7 years was spent with their mothers to teach them that, so that the mother could teach the son empathy, kindness, care. They would be emotionally attached to their children in order to teach them that emotional aspect. But the day they turned 7 or 8, they were taken away and put into a world of violence with men, because that's what men do. And that's another thing you learn in martial art. How many times have I bled on the mat, turned around and high-fived and hugged the guy that just broke my nose, or that just broke something on me? And those are the guys there was no animosity. There's no, you mother, you just, no, there's like, bro, I should have went left when I went right, or I should have blocked that one, but hey, it is what it is. It is in us. Men are violent by nature. It is in us, and that's how we create bonds. To this day, if you're a martial artist and you stand around me long enough, we're going to roll. We're going to fight. At one point, I'm going to smack you. You're going to smack me back. There's no doubt. And I do this with the utmost respect, because I am a man and I love manly men around me. So you have to become the provider, but you also need temperance. This is the one most men struggle the most, and this is a lifelong battle. I don't think you ever become tempered, but I think that every day you can become better, because we are violent by nature. I am extremely violent. I'm extremely aggressive by nature. But over the years, I look 10 years ago, I'm not the man I am today. Like, I was not this man. I've been in fights that I should have never been in. I've done some violent things that I should have never done. It could have been so dangerous. Like, how many times somebody cut me off, they gave me the finger, I followed them home. I blocked them at a stop and knock on that window like, right, you want to give me the finger? Step out the car, I'll show you what it means to give me the finger. How stupid is that? How stupid is that?
I'm sorry, man. You gave me goosebumps. I did exactly that a couple of times back in the days.
But of course you did. This is what happens to men when they do not control their emotions. You either control your emotions or they will control you. But today, when I say this, people are automatically think, they're like, oh, so I can't be emotional. No. That's not what I just said. You remember that space that you're supposed to provide your family? You can be emotional there. Your woman expects you to be emotional with her. But once you cross that front door, you become stoic, because it is not your place to be emotional. Your place is to be the rock your wife deserves. That's your job. Your wife is already emotional. Ask your wife tonight if she would want an extremely emotional guy. She doesn't want to. That's her job, to be emotional. If I'm always emotional, that means my girlfriend needs to become masculine in order for me to be emotional. And this is what's happening with men today. They're so emotional, they're so in their feminine energy, that women need to go to their masculine energy in order to be a relationship with them. And you know what? Do that long enough, she will resent you for it, because she wants to be feminine, but you're not allowing her. So she will leave you and she will find a man that will allow her to live in her feminine. And this is what happens. You need to control your emotions, because at the end of the day, you control 3 things in life. You control your emotions, you control your actions, and you control your reactions. That's it. Everything else is outside. It does not belong to you. But through temperance, you can learn how to control your emotions. You can learn how to take the right decisions, because your emotions are not controlling you. And through meditation, you can learn how to control your reactions. When we think that our unconscious mind is not accessible, I put things in my unconscious mind every day. There's techniques through self-hypnosis. There are techniques through meditation. You can create a pathway between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. It's just a matter of being able to be tempered in order to gain access to it. And then you have the last one, and the one that it is not last because it's the least important. It is the last one because it puts everything together: faith. And there's 3 types of faith. And it does not need to be religious. As much as I'm a Christian, I'm a God-fearing man, it does not need to be. And the way I like to explain it is this. There's 3 types of faith. For the sake of argument, let's replace faith by belief. How can you create self-confidence if you don't first believe in yourself? How can you ever build a relationship with a new person if you don't believe that they are the person they say they are? And how can you ever find life purpose if you don't first believe that you were put here for a reason? And that could be God, that could be nature, that could be the universe, however you want to call it. But at the end of the day, if you want to build self-confidence, you need to have faith in yourself. If you want to build a relationship with a woman, you need to have faith in her. If you want to find your life purpose, you need to have faith that there's a force bigger than you that puts you here for a reason. There you go,
stuff,
bro.
man. Deep stuff, man. Listen, I mean, we've exceeded the hour, but this discussion has
Yeah,
been
like
just so,
45 minutes ago.
I know, but
it's
you
all
just
good,
can't
brother.
you can't stop it. I hope you still got a minute, but
Yeah,
but
man.
we had a great time here, and it's amazing.
Oh, as soon as I did that, my external camera just died on me. That's very interesting.
Oh, all right.
Oh, that no, hold on. I got another one, but it's unfortunate. The quality is definitely not that good. That's my laptop. So
No,
sorry,
it's okay.
bro. You're gonna have some. You're gonna have to play with your editing on that one.
No, there's nothing. I was talking anyway, so it's all good. I love this because when this is the natural aspect of things, right? You're doing this, you're working, you're making it happen, and it happens. It happened to me as well many times before. So trust me, I know. But I just want to first of all, Nick, I want to really to thank you. I mean, the work you do is amazing and it's needed, and again, it's not taken away from the women's equality, none of that. It's if anyone listens and watches, you know what this discussion is about. This is not about women not being equal to men. This is just about men being men and women being
And
women.
women being women.
That's
and
it.
how they fit together.
As a unit, and as a unit, and it is not religious. It's got nothing to do with it. It's just really the basics of nature and how history has revealed it to be successful. And anytime we kind of tend to veer away from the course of things, we get problems. I mean, whether we mess up with nature, we get nature stuff. We mess up with relationships, things happen. And again, somebody always pays the price, and it could be both sides, and most definitely is the kids, and the kids ultimately are the future of society, and therefore there's going to be more of problems and really turmoil going forward in next generations to come. And again, I mean, if someone that is here today living with us, watching, listening, and they lived in the 60s and say 70s, 50s, and beyond, and that, to your point earlier, this would be like, what the hell? But if they're listening today, they're going to be like, damn, where did we go wrong and where we are today to have to even, try to promote this. I mean, we almost like doing a propaganda, but like, you're supposed to be a man, you're supposed to be a woman, but what it is, and we're not talking about the gender concept here, folks. So there's 2 different discussions. That's a whole different discussion to have to do with identity and choices. But this is just about, we're talking about just the basic natural instinct of who we are as a creation, as beings on this planet, right? So Nico, I know you have a website. How can people reach out to you, and how can you really, what's the message that we want to send to people today? And of course, the books, we'd like them to reach out and get the books as well.
You can find me at nicolagan.com. I just literally today I got out of my Amazon my audio, because I have an audio book for my first book, and it's not me that recorded it, it's an actual professional that did it, but I got it away from the Amazon exclusive deal that I had with them, and I will put them for free on my website. Like, my first book will be available. You can download the MP3 just so that I can somehow help people if it resonates. If finding purpose is something that you're looking for, give me a week or 2. It will be on my website. You can download it for free at nicolagan.com. The next book is going to take me a couple of months because I'm writing it right now. But if you're a social media fan, you can check out my TikTok, Instagram, Facebook at Real Nico Lagan, and YouTube at Nico Lagan. But you'll find me whatever the platform I'm on. I'm on like 8 different platforms, so I am everywhere. I annoy everybody everywhere, so you can find me somewhere. So reach out, and you know what? That's another thing. If there's anything I said that you agree, you disagree, and you're the type of person that's respectful, that want to have an actual conversation about this, or you want to understand something, reach out to me. I love that stuff. I love to talk to people. If you comment on my stuff, chances are I'll respond to you. I respond to hundreds of people every day, if not thousands. I love this. I love to interact with people. So if you have questions, if I've helped single mothers in the past that have reached out to me to say, you know what, I don't know what to do. I love what you say, but I don't know what to do. No problem. Where are you? I'll find you a gym. I know people all over the place. Once you do martial art long enough, it's like a free pass to go to every country you can. So chances are I can find you a gym. Wherever you are, reach out. If you have questions about this, please reach out. I'll always do my best to take the time.
All right. Well, so Nico, I know you've been in quite a few shows, and you were in literally in Times Square too. Can you tell us just briefly what that was about?
Oh, it's just I've had the pleasure to be on big podcasts. I've had the pleasure to record with Sean Kelly, which has something like 10 million followers on his podcast. We were in the Wynn Hotel in Vegas. Like I've always chased after what I wanted, right? And it's all it is. Like we didn't even speak about this, but I've been traveling the US in an RV for a year now. I've been through 22 states, and all of the stuff that I record is I built a studio in an RV. So there's literally no limits to what somebody can do as long as they believe that they can do it. And my faith is everything. Like my faith, the reason I am where I am today is because I have faith. That's it. There's nothing more blind than my faith. I trust. That's it. That's all. I never doubt it. I never question it. But this is why I'm living the life I'm supposed to live, because I've always been ready to do what it takes. And I never doubt. If it feels right, if my heart is telling me, if my conversation with God tells me something, I don't doubt it. I will put it into effect then and there. And luckily, I found somebody in my girlfriend that trusts my lead. Because maybe one day we can do another podcast and I can go into those conversations. But I have, throughout our journey, came back from a walk with my dog and just say, hey, we need to stay here for 2 months. And she doesn't question me. She doesn't doubt me. She's just, again with this. And then we do. She makes the face. You know that face when you've been with someone long enough. They know how you are, and you recognize you start doing something, and they're like, oh, not again. But
it's working.
It's working because I found somebody that understands what and who I am and wants me to be that person. She's not trying to change me. It wouldn't work. In the same way that I found a mother. I found a mother to my children. That's what my girlfriend represents to me. I needed somebody that was able to do a better job. As bad as this sounds, I need someone that can do a better job than my mother did. I don't want my children to be brought up without a father and with a woman that's struggling to do both.
Sure. Well, first of all, I am humbled to have the pleasure to have you today with me, and that's one.
Thanks for having me, man.
I love your shirt, man.
It's one of mine. I design T-shirts too, so that's one of mine.
Yes, I love it. Discipline trumps motivation, huh?
It pisses people off because I took the flag of Donald Trump, right? That's his colors he used. I stole his logo, and because it's Trump, so I'm like, oh yeah, let's piss people off and do it. I wear it all the time.
Yeah, from a distance, from people, all they're gonna see is Trump.
Oh yeah, and I get the looks all the time because I do a lot of street interviews, right? Like this weekend, we're gonna drive up to Nashville, and I'm gonna go talk to people in the street. It's one of the things I absolutely love to do, and
I'm gonna be all over your TikToks, man.
Yeah, but I do. But this shirt, I get 2 reactions. Either like that I wore that shirt on Sean Kelly's podcast in Vegas. is very liberal. I'm walking through the Winds Hotel. People are just looking at me like,
Nasty.
mother, because all they see is the colors, right? But then I get other, it's always two things. Either people hate it or people stop me. Like I have a t-shirt. Oh, see, there you go. That's the hoodie I was wearing this morning. I love this one. Can you see what it says?
Yeah, man, lives matter.
So this is another one. I wear it all the time. I have it in all different colors and it pisses people off. But I was in Colorado a few months back and we're at the restaurant, very high-end restaurant. I was wearing the t-shirt equivalent of this one and we go to pay our bill and the waiter looks at me. He's like, no, you're good. I'm like, my girlfriend and I are like, what do you mean we're good? Like it's $120, $150 for the meal, right? And he's like, one of our regulars saw your shirt and he's like, I gotta buy him I gotta buy that guy his food. So there you go. So those are always, I have a lot of t-shirts that are out there. So
you also you also have your regular podcast. People can listen to it on Apple.
Yeah. The only difference with my podcast though is that I'm not constant on the podcast because I do all in person. All my gear, all the things that I do, I visit. So as I've been going throughout the country, I meet people, I go to their house, I go to their gym, I go to their office, I set up my gear and we talk. I record stuff for my show every day. I create content that's about my opinion and could be a podcast every single day. But my podcast itself, I only record in person. I don't want to do, there's something that's lost in translation, when you're doing it. Our podcast would have been very different if we were face to face. Chances are we would have fought. At one point we would have tried something, but you know what I'm saying? Like I like the personal aspect. As great as this has been, there's always something to do it in person. There's always
it's different. Yeah. I mean, I listen, maybe as the network grows, we'll have a 100%. Full studio with 100%. And then you're more than welcome to show up there. And maybe we can even take it to the mat, let's see. I don't know.
Oh, for sure that if we meet, we're fighting. That I can tell you right now, we're gonna spar, we're gonna have fun. We're gonna have fun.
Well, speaking of which, it's funny you said something about your relationship with the other guys that you spar with, and even though you're bleeding and stuff, but you're right. Like, remember that test I told you where he said you guys go all at it. Well, what I forgot to mention is that actually he broke my nose there. Yeah. We didn't stop. We kept going. I mean, at the end, we did the whole thing, and every time, like about a couple of weeks later, Professor looks at me, he laughs at me, he smiles because he knows what happened to my nose. By the way, my nose was crooked before it got a little worse.
You are Moroccan after all, right? I'm just messing with you.
That is exactly right. I got a typical nose.
But my buddy that teaches us Krav Maga was in the IDF. Like he's Israeli. He trained the IDF soldiers in hand-to-hand combat. He's been in Krav Maga since he's like 7 or 8 years old. And the last training that we did, he had invited me. It was one of those combative, because a lot of martial art will teach, like especially Krav Maga, the way it's taught here in North America, it's taught as a defensive system. If you are attacked, those are the techniques that you're gonna do. He took some of his best students, and what we did, he asked me to come down because I was a fighter. So he's like, those are the situations when the person that's attacking you will not back down. Because if you and I fight, I'm not going to go away. You're going to have to put me away. Chances are we're going to end up at the hospital together. So but you know what I'm saying? Most of the guys that will attack you are just doing it because they think you're a prey. They're just trying to do something to you because they see you as a weak person. But if you get in the street and you fight with somebody that knows how to fight, it's going to suck. I don't care how trained you are, it's going to suck. Fighting on a mat is not the same as fighting for real.
That's right.
And this is what the training was all about. That the 4 days I was down there was all about this. What happens when the person you're fighting is not going away? Bro, my hands were destroyed because you don't wear punching bag. You don't wear punching gloves in Krav Maga. You're using your knuckles, bro.
I know.
My shin bones were purple. My knuckles were purple. I had spots on my stomach, like massive hematoma everywhere because you're getting kneed, you're getting punched. We trained with baseball bat, we trained with a bunch of weapons, and you know what? Training, we were being attacked by 7 people. You need to know how to get out of trouble, or at least get hurt the least as possible. Guess what? I have pictures. I am battered. But you know what? Look at every single picture. I have a massive smile on my face because this is when a man feels the most alive. You know how confident building that is to know that I'm looking like this and I'm like, fuck yeah, motherfucker, this is me. Imagine I do this for fun. I do this for fun. So.
All right, man. Well, all right. Well, listen, I do have to go. I have another, another show right to go after this, but I truly had so much fun, man. I appreciate every single of the, minute, the second of the show. Definitely want you to come back, and have some more fun with us,
Yeah, brother.
We can do a lot more. Thank you so much for being with us, Nico. And
thanks, folks, for having me, man.
My pleasure. Folks, I hope you really enjoyed this show. And yes, it was an interesting one. And yes, do comment, reach out to Nico if you want to. We'd love to hear that. And hopefully, this kind of, just creates that vibe and maybe just a question mark in anyone's watching or listening right now, and thoughts for, food for thoughts, as we say, right? That's it. So I'm Hurricane H. We'll be talking soon. New day, new show, new topic, new guest. Bye for now.
There's a lot of talk all over the internet these days about the remarkable benefits of carbon-60, and baby boomers are especially excited about it. Whatever generation you're in, if you want more energy, better health, and a boost in vitality, we invite you to try Greska's Carbon-60, a stunning development in free radical destruction. Being much smaller in size than conventional antioxidants derived from fruits and vegetables, it is far more bioavailable to quickly mend the toxin-crippled cells in your body. Greska's Carbon-60 is the only C60 product that is made without the use of undesirable solvents. The only one. Greska's Carbon-60 was developed by a brilliant NASA carbon scientist, and 95% report positive results from this Nobel Prize-winning technology in just 4 days. Visit c-60.com. That's c-60.com or call 720-600-6040.